been 3 long weeks, and it feels good to be back on the show, on the podcast, behind this mic. You might be hearing a little knocking on my walls. If you hear anything, it shouldn't disrupt really the show. There just might be certain parts of the show. You might hear a little banging on the wall. There's certain renovation being done in the house. So, just going to have to deal with it. It is what it is. If it's annoying, I'm sorry. But I wanted to come on here and record because renovation's going on pretty much every day. And this is just how the situation is. But anyway, good to be back. I know I haven't done a show in a few weeks. I've had certain things going on. There hasn't really been too much I really wanted to take the time out and upload and really talk about. But now, as we are getting closer to NFL training camp, we're a couple weeks away. There's some NHL, and with NHL free agency going on right now. But what this show is going to be about is strictly what has been going on in the Pittsburgh sports world. And I wanted to come on here and talk about a few things. And we're going to be talking about all 3 teams and what has really been the news the last few days. I will be talking about, obviously, as we get closer to NFL training camp, I will be talking about things going on throughout that, whatever news breaks, whatever news comes out around that time, because we know that there is news bound to happen. I think especially with Deshaun Watson, what the deal is with that, we will be talking about it, 100%. But I'm looking forward to that, so I just wanted to put that out there. I'm also going to talk about not just the Steelers or anything like that. I'm going to be talking about everything else that's happening going into training camp, the preseason, etc., etc. Hopefully you guys have all been well. You have all been good. Like I said, I know you haven't heard from me for a few weeks, but if you guys want to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe to this channel, I would greatly appreciate it. It's kind of hard to really grow at the amount I want with kind of the inconsistency that things have been with the podcast lately. But it helps out the channel. It helps the channel grow, so I would greatly appreciate that. But I want to get right into this. I think really the biggest news coming out of this past week in terms of the Steelers, this might be the biggest loss the Steelers have ever faced ever since Heinz Field came into creation. The Steelers have changed their stadium name. Heinz Field is no more. We all know this now. And we knew going into the offseason that it could possibly get a new name. But Art Rooney, the president of the team, came out and said that they're working with a deal to keep the name and everything like that. We all kind of thought it was just going to get done, just a matter of time. Well, that did not happen. Heinz was not offering enough money. Not really sure why. But anyway, we have a new stadium for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I haven't seen one person say a positive thing about the name. But the name goes after a insurance firm in Michigan that nobody has ever heard of. This company had 500 Twitter followers before this was even announced. ACRISURE Stadium is the new name of the home of the Pittsburgh Steelers, folks. And this is absolutely atrocious. This is absolutely atrocious. Just the name itself is awful. Not one single soul knows who ACRISURE is. But this is obviously a big reason as to why they wanted to partner with the Steelers. They also have a relationship with a minority owner. I believe his name is Thomas Tuchel or something like that. He's pretty much irrelevant. Nobody knows who he is. He's a minority owner. He has no say pretty much in anything they do. But he had ties to this insurance company in Michigan, and they offered a good amount of money the Steelers liked, and the Steelers went with that over whatever Heinz was offering. Now, I understand this day and age, money talks, and really at the end of the day, it's just a stadium name. There's other bad stadium names out there, but it sucks. It sucks because we're all accustomed to Heinz Field. It's what has really always been to us in terms of this generation of Steeler fans. We know it was Three Rivers. We know Three River Stadium was really, the big extravaganza. That got torn down and Heinz Field was made. But it's a lot different, and it's truly an end of an era of Steelers football with Big Ben retiring, Kevin Colbert retiring from the general manager position, and now a new stadium name. But how fitting. The last win at Heinz Field was Big Ben defeating the Cleveland Browns, as he always did. How fitting is that? But nonetheless, the stadium name sucks. But, we'll all get used to it eventually, and it'll just be whatever. But that was a big thing going on. I wasn't seeing one person say anything positive about that name, and it is what it is. Now, there is talk that Mr. Rooney said in his press conference that they still are going to have a working relationship with Heinz. It's just a matter of really what that's all going to entail. It is possible that they still keep the ketchup bottles on the scoreboard, which would be great. But I was hoping, and I think a lot of us were, when we found out Heinz Field was going to be no more a few days ago, that they were going to keep something within the Pittsburgh roots. Maybe Iron City Field, maybe Permane Brothers Stadium. I really thought maybe UPMC, which is obviously the big health firm out here, would have stepped in and tried to be the name of the stadium. UPMC Field, something like that. But none of that happened. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's money. And maybe some of these other companies that have Pittsburgh roots and stuff like that were in talks. Who knows? But the Steelers got the best offer that they received, and that's what they went with. That's the name of the game. But nonetheless, Steelers training camp going to be coming up. I believe it starts July 28th or 26th, somewhere between there. This is going to be the first time, folks, in 18 years where we are... Give me 1 second. 1 second here. This is going to be the first time in quite a long time where, not saying that preseason was never interesting, but where there's really going to be some high stakes in preseason. And that's the quarterback competition between Trubisky and Kenny Pickett. Now, who's going to be the week one guy? We know Trubisky was getting reps with the first team and OTAs, voluntary OTAs, blah, blah, blah. We know that. Kenny Pickett was getting third-team reps, and Mason Rudolph was getting second-team reps. Now, we know at the end of the day, we know Kenny Pickett's going to play. It's just a matter of when. They had him with third team. Simply, he's a rookie. They want him to earn his way, and rightfully so. And so should Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky isn't anything special, but he was a second overall pick in 2017. Kind of up and down with Chicago. His stint wasn't all his fault. He had terrible coaching and personnel. He did help him get to the playoffs 2 times. He is mobile. He can move around. He's pretty athletic, which is definitely the Steelers lacked the last couple years at quarterback. Obviously, with Big Ben aging, what do you expect? But with the current wave of the NFL, that's what you need at quarterback, is somebody who can move around, have some mobility, and have some athleticism to him. That's what you need. Now, Mitch Trubisky has that, and so does Kenny Pickett. But it's going to be all eyes on these 3 preseason games when Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky are in there. Who's going to outperform the other? Now, I would love nothing more than to see Kenny Pickett have a great preseason and start week 1. If I was a betting man, I would say probably Trubisky's going to end up starting week 1. Pickett will be the second guy. And if Trubisky starts playing poorly, there's an injury, whatever it is, Pickett gets in there. But at the end of the day, who's ever going to give them the best chance to win should be starting the first game. Simple as that. Simple as that. But I'm excited to see what Kenny Pickett has to offer. I'm excited to see what Mitch Trubisky has. Considering, like I said, the situation with Chicago, he's in a way better position with the Steelers, with Mike Tomlin, that organization. He's got a lot of talent to work with on the defense side of the ball, offensively. He does, and I think he's a quarterback that can do enough for them to win games with the talent they have. He's not a quarterback that they're going to win because of him, but he's a quarterback I think that he can be a good enough bridge quarterback for them until, whoever comes out to be really ultimately the next guy, whether it's Kenny Pickett or somebody else, I don't know. But it's an exciting time. We all hope Kenny Pickett succeeds. He's in the best position he can be after being drafted. Played 5 years at Heinz Field. I mean, give me a break. Give me a break. So that's going to be a really interesting case. We'll see if Chris Boswell or Deontay Johnson get an extension going forward. But I don't really want to take too much time into talking about that because it hasn't really started up yet. But I wanted to kind of briefly put some thoughts out there, talk about the stadium change name. But during training camp, we will definitely be uploading more frequently because we're really entering that transition period. Now, real quick, I don't want to take too long on this video. We're at 10 minutes. But real quick, the Penguins have re-signed Evgeni Malkin as of last night to a 4-year contract extension, about $6 million a year. Now, they also, earlier in the... Sorry about that, folks. If you're going to see a little transition, little skip transition here because my laptop ran out of battery. I had to freaking charge it and everything like that. But back to what I was saying. Evgeni Malkin of the Penguins re-signed last night on a 4-year extension. Now, what came out of that was they're working on a deal, and then it came out that he was going to test free agency. I think still most people thought it was likely he was going to return, but he's never really been a free agent before. But it was reported that Sidney Crosby himself initiated those contract negotiations again right before free agency hit between the Penguins and Malkin. We know that Evgeni Malkin has been one of the best players of the last 15 years in this league. We know he's a Hall of Fame caliber player. And we know that him and Sid have been the dynamic trio, including Letang, of this team the last X amount of years. For how long? They've had a remarkable run together. And I'm completely fine with this. And I think most people are. Most people are glad he's back, especially because really, who were you going to get better at that second center position aside from Malkin? Now, you have some of the goons out there, the guys like Mark Madden, the bozos, the boomers, who didn't like this, and I understand from a certain perspective where you've been in a first-round exit the last 4 or 5 years, things are kind of stale. I understand. But at the same time, you have to understand what killed their playoff run last year, and it was both their goaltenders were injured. That was really the plain reason why they lost that series to New York. The year before that, it was a goaltending issue. I have no problem bringing him back because when he's healthy, he's still productive. Obviously, yes, in terms of him, Crosby, and Letang, I mean, they've been the carriers of this franchise for the last 15 years plus, all together as a trio. And how great they've been together. At the same time, yes, sometimes certain moves have to be made to shake things up, to get younger, things like that. But there wasn't really those opportunities out there in terms of that type of position and that type of production at the same time. I'm completely fine with this. Obviously, I'm glad Malkin's back because any Penguin fan has always loved Malkin. But we know he's 35, close to 36, whenever that's this year, next year, I don't remember. But as long as he's healthy, he's still a productive player offensively. He's still productive there. And I don't see anything wrong with keeping those guys together the rest of their careers and just trying to surround them with the best talent you can and keeping that opportunity open however long you can, that window of trying to win. As long as you have Crosby there and you still have Letang and Malkin, you're still going to win games. You're still going to be competitive. But as those guys are aging, you obviously have to get younger and get some goal, fill out certain positions. And they did that still, re-signing Brian Rust to a 6-year contract and re-signing Rickard Rakell to a 6-year contract, which not many people thought they were going to retain all 4 of those guys. And they did. And they did. So now there's going to be some moves that they're going to make, So far they've signed a couple guys in free agency, not really big contracts or anything like that. But we know there's going to be some moves being made for them to clear up some cap room, to try to fill out another winger that they need offensively, more production, some goal scoring that they're going to need. And it'll be interesting. Will Jason Zucker be a guy that's going to be gone? He's got 1 year left on his contract. He's been very injury prone. We know when they first got him, he was pretty productive here with Crosby. But other than that, you might have to have some cap relief there. They just signed a couple defensemen. One's kind of a depth guy. The other one came from the Lightning. He's kind of more of like a number 3, number 4 type defenseman, but they signed him to a 3-year contract. So they're probably going to try to move a defenseman, possibly maybe trying to bring in a wing guy to produce some offense for their team. So they're still making some moves. They did sign another backup goaltender, I'm sure, probably to compete there with DeSmith. Nothing crazy. But in re-signing Letang to a 6-year deal, I think they've had a really good offseason so far in the sense of keeping all 4 of those guys. And we'll see what they add to the team this offseason. But in terms of those that don't think they should have brought back Malkin, what else would you have done? I understand maybe wanting to get a little bit younger, not wanting things to stay stale. And because really the last 4 or 5 years, losing in the first round, not even really having any deep playoff runs, but that's not all on them either. The last 2 years, they could have easily had a great run, but that was derailed by injury and goaltending. So, as a Pens fan who's always appreciated Malkin and who's always loved Malkin, it's obviously great he's back. And like I said, in terms of what you're going to get above him, there's really not many other options out there, but he's still obviously a leader of the team. Clearly, we know this. He's still, as long as he's healthy, a productive guy. And it's just really going to come down to them filling the other positions to help them offensively. So I'm completely fine with this. I think most of the people are glad he's back. The people that aren't, that maybe would like to see a different direction, I can understand certain things. At the same time, you have to also understand you're not really going to get much better if you're not going to bring him back. You're probably going to get worse. And I understand just simply wanting to get younger, some of the injury concerns, wanting to shake things up a little bit because the lack of playoff success the last 4 or 5 years. I get that. But he's still an integral part of the team. When he's healthy, he's an integral part of the team. There's not many other options you would have got better than him out there. So, but they did a great job bringing the guys they needed to bring back. We'll see the rest of the moves they make. But and as a Pens fan, it's honestly great to see, too, that these guys are going to finish their careers together. And you don't really get to see that in sports many times, man. When franchises have whatever league it is, when you have 2-3 guys who have been a trio and have brought a lot of success to that team, winning, and have been a part of that team for years, you don't always get to see them all kind of go out together. So that is a great thing to see. At the same time, you got to start producing more so in the win category in terms of playoff success. And I still think they can do that, but it comes down to the rest of the moves that Hextall and all of them are going to make. Pirates, I want to transition to the Pirates real quick. They've won 4 straight games in a row, the first time since 2019, which is absolutely insane to think about. For myself, I have really started the season. I watched a little bit because it's the start of the season, opening day, opening week, opening series, whatever. After that, I would still obviously see daily what happened, but I wouldn't necessarily just go out of my way to watch games. But now, since guys like O'Neal Cruz are up, Rowenzi Contreras, some of these younger guys, it is fun to watch them. And there's times where it's putrid to watch still. But these guys that myself have been looking forward to see come up are up. There's going to be more coming up next year. So even though I know the Pirates aren't competing, they're not there yet, it's still nice to watch these guys produce, how these guys grow throughout the season. And it does bring excitement. And a lot of Pirate fans are excited about those things. But we have the concerns in terms of ownership. And we know the drill. Once these guys' contracts come to an end, arbitration's over, They don't want to extend, and they trade. And it's the same rotation thing every single time. When's the future coming? The future's never here. But in terms of these guys coming up, they have a lot of top prospects, and you got to give their front office credit in terms of making these acquisitions, acquiring these young guys, and being patient and letting them flourish throughout the minors and eventually come up here and start to see things pay off. And so far, we've had O'Neal Cruz, we have Contreras, we have Jack Sawinski, who Sawinski was never like necessarily a highly regarded prospect, but they got him out of the Adam Frazier trade last year, and he's given the lineup a lot what they've needed, pop. And so I think he's a guy that there's still a lot to work with, and in his rookie year, those are things you like to see. He's at 14 home runs. He's probably got the most pop in the lineup, honestly, right now. So you like to see that. We've seen Cal Mitchell up for a little bit, who is another guy we know in the minors has a lot of pop. Will he be a part of... I'm not saying every single one of these guys are going to be a part of the future, but all these guys are going to get opportunity to be a part of that. We know Cruz and Contreras are two staples going forward. We know Reynolds, Hayes, they've been here. They have guys like Michael Chavis, who is young within himself, got a new opportunity with the Pirates. He's produced fairly well, and he's been pretty dang good at first base defensively. He plays hard. He can definitely be a guy for them moving forward, and I see that for sure. Like I said, Sawinski will be a part of them going forward. He's just got to continue to get more consistent at bats, not strike out as much, get the ball more in play. Needs to get better at that, but he will. We've seen Tucupita Marcano, who got out of the Adam Frazier trade, the headliner out of the Adam Frazier trade. He's produced a little bit when he was up here. He's back in AAA now, but he's a guy that's going to get a lot of opportunity to be a part of this club moving forward. We see, and like I said, Travis Swaggerty, but he didn't really get too much opportunity. He'll probably be up again eventually. Bly Madris in AAA. He had a great showing when he came up. They optioned him back down to AAA, but he's going to get opportunity of being a part of this young group going forward. And there's more guys in AA that will transition in AAA and be up next year, which is exciting. So that's really kind of what I'm saying is, so they've won 4 in Miami. That's great. That's great. And this is obviously wishful thinking, but they're 8.5 games out of a wild card. Who knows if, they start getting competitive. Well, not competitive. Let me take that back. Like their games are more competitive than not. They've been getting good starting pitching as of late out of Quintana, out of Mitch Keller, out of JT Brubaker, Roansy Contreras. So, wishful thinking. I know this isn't going to happen, but let's say the Pirates, they're 8.5 games out. Let's say they start creeping to maybe 5 games out of wild card. That's kind of exciting, sitting back, watching the games, and hopefully, just kind of keeping their nose in there. I know they're not going to make the playoffs, but it makes for some fun TV. It makes for you maybe wanting to go out of your way to watch those games, as they're maybe kind of creeping in a little bit into a wild card spot. Like I said, it's not going to happen. I know that. But in terms of just being a fan, you like to see these young guys produce. You like to see them help win games for the ball club. And the fact that if they get to that spot, that's a great testament of what these guys are doing for the team. So as a fan, you like to watch that. At the same time, it's frustrating as a fan because we know the ownership. We've been here, done that in terms of not extending guys, not spending money in the offseason to help out the ball club. That's got to change. It's got to change. Young talent is up. Young talent that you were hoping to turn out to be promising talent, some of that is up. Some of that's coming next year. So you got to go in the offseason, drop some money down on some pitching, on a couple veteran guys to come in here, be a part of that ball club, and help offset maybe things that these young guys haven't been able to get stronger in yet. So it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch Cruz and Contreras and Hayes and Reynolds and Chavis, and we know Hayes and Reynolds have been here, but these other guys that are coming up, that are flourishing, it's exciting. It is, and it's fun to watch. And it has been fun to watch on this 4-game winning streak. But we'll see. We'll see if they kind of keep their nose in the wild card picture a little bit, if they want to make things a little interesting, a little fun, they're definitely better than what they were last year, which is what you want to see. So that's my only hope as a fan, is that they're going to spend some money in the offseason to bring some guys in to help offset these young guys, because that's what they need. So it's exciting, and I do think the Pirates will be viewed and will be going into a season a competitive team, at least within the next year and a half, 2 years. 100%. And right now, there's a lot of times they're fun to watch. There's times where it's frustrating, but that's just the state of the team in terms of growing pains, in terms of youth as well. But hey, if they can kind of keep themselves in a little bit of a wild card hunt just for fun, just for, things like that to make things a little interesting, I mean, why not? I'm all here for it. I'll go out of my way. I mean, I kind of go out of my way anyway most of the time to watch their games, to watch, the likes of Cruz and all those guys. But I'm excited to when they're going to get to the point of being back to that competitive team, being back to competing in the division, playoff push, and hopefully more than that. And I think that can happen the earliest within a year and a half, 2 years, 100%, once these guys are up. But it is nice to see, like I said, these young guys bringing wins. We've seen, I mean, you look at their record ever since O'Neal Cruz has come up and what he's been doing. He's got 16 RBIs in 20 games. We've seen the power, we've seen the glove, the defensive plays at short, the athletic ability. So many things are there for him, and it's so exciting to watch him grow and flourish and what he's going to turn out to be. Contreras, we know Brian Reynolds is obviously the best player on the team, but he's on the injured list. We know what Brian Hayes brings to the table. Guys, Henry Davis, former first overall pick last year. Quinn Priester, another former first overall pick. Nick Gonzalez, 2 years ago, the fifth overall pick. Those guys are going to be transitioning soon. And when those guys come up, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But like I said, that's when they need to go into free agency, bring in some veteran guys to help balance out that team. And hopefully that starts this offseason. Hopefully that does. And who knows? I mean, maybe they'll be even a little bit more competitive next year than what they are now. But it is fun to watch. It's been a fun series in Miami. Brubaker's pitching tonight, facing Pablo Lopez, who's been a phenomenal young starter for them this season. So we'll kind of see how that goes. It'd be cool to see them try to get a sweep. And you look at a team like the Baltimore Orioles, they're the hottest team in baseball. They're inching themselves into a wild card position when nobody thought that would have happened. They do have some nice young talent on there with Cedric Mullins, Austin Hayes. We know Anthony Santander and Trey Mancini have been guys there for a while now. And they got some decent pitching in there. So they're making themselves a play. So, hey, if the Pirates, I know they're not, but who knows? If they kind of make a play like that where they inch a little bit more into a wild card race, it might make for some fun, for some interesting talk. So, who ultimately knows, man? Baseball's an everyday, day-by-day game. Who knows? But it is fun to watch these young guys, and I think a lot of fans do like watching that. But I think really in order to get a lot of that fan base back that has just been completely turned off, you're going to have to make some moves. You're going to have to spend some money. And that's why when you've seen reports of Brian Reynolds, again, like teams talking about him, and David Bednar, you don't trade those guys. You do not trade those guys. David Bednar, I understand in terms of a reliever, it's a little more expendable, but still, David Bednar's dominant. David Bednar's still 26, 27 years old. Reynolds is 26 years old. Reynolds is a guy you build with. So if you trade Reynolds, you're going backwards. You're going backwards, and you're pretty much giving the middle finger to the fans. Well, really, nothing's going to change. And again, I'll believe it when I see it when things start changing in terms of ownership and spending money, signing guys, extending guys. We know they extended Hayes, but that's one guy. I'll believe it when I see it, but with these young prospects coming up, like I said, it's exciting, and you're hopeful that that's going to be the kickstart of them getting back to that competitive realm again. But it's ultimately going to come down to them spending money to add to that. And once these guys eventually get past arbitration, keeping them. So if you trade a guy like Reynolds, I'm sure you would get a good return. But Reynolds is a guy who is the focal part of the team right now. A guy you build around, a cornerstone of the team. And with these guys starting to come up this year and next year, like, you're going to have Reynolds there. He's a part of that competitive push. He's a part of what you're building to. Why the hell would you trade him? If they would ever trade him, I think it would be absolutely hard for me to root for this team ever again. Because it would be the same song and dance, same status quo that we have seen year after year after year, where, oh, what we've been building to here, 3 years later, we're going to tear it down. Like, why? Then what was the point of trading Andrew McCutchen for him? Oh, no, you traded McCutchen for Brian Reynolds. You viewed Brian Reynolds as a guy you can build around. No, we're just going to trade him. What was the point then? I know Brian Reynolds is not getting traded. This is the second year the Pirates have rejected offers on him, which is great news. You want to keep killing that fan base that you have left? Trade him. Go ahead. I'd be gone. It's frustrating to be a Pirate fan. At the same time, right now, it is fun to watch these young guys, which is why I do go out of my way a lot of times to watch these games. And the fact that guys have come up this year, guys are coming up next year, yeah, it makes for excitement. It makes for, we know the talent that's there and that they can put together and get back to that competitive push. At the end of the day, we know where the issue stands, folks, and it stands with the ownership. At the end of the day, we'll see what happens, but that's kind of my rant there. I know every single Pirate fan would agree with me on that. Really, to bring back the fans, spend money. Add to the team you have. That will help these young guys progress even more. That will help you get even quicker to the point where you want to be at. Spending some money, bringing in veteran guys, bringing in guys established that have been there. That's what you need, too, on top of these guys, these promising young players. So, like I said, as a fan, it's exciting to watch. It's fun to watch a lot of times. You hope the Pirates play their cards right this time. There's a lot of skepticism and concern with strictly the owner. But I think when you look at the grand scheme of things, I think we can all agree that they've done things the right way in the sense of rebuilding their farm system. We're starting to see some of that pay off now. We're going to start seeing some more of that next year. And obviously the years following that and how these guys develop and transition. But like I said, it's exciting to see. It's exciting to watch. And all you can do is really be hopeful that they play their cards right. And that, especially with Hayes getting an 8-year extension, that they'll really start valuing their fans. They'll really start valuing their franchise. And when I say they, I'm talking primarily about the owner. That's really all you can hope for at the end of the day. And I really think once we really start hitting into next year and a lot of group of these guys are up, you'll start to see that competitive push come back. But that's when they're going to need the owner to step in, spend some money to help these guys out. So, but I'm leaving it at that, folks. I want to get on here, strictly talk about what's been going on with Pittsburgh sports, as obviously as I'm a Pittsburgh sports fan. If you're new to the channel, I think it should be pretty evident with what's behind me. Actually, if you even noticed too, I did upgrade a little bit behind me, moved that over there. Some of the Pirate stuff, hung up my autographed Joe Hayden jersey up there. I know the lighting's kind of hard to kind of see it in its entirety. But I want to get on here, talk about that. It's been a few weeks. I'm excited to get back on here and talk about training camp, as we're going to be transitioning into that. MLB All-Star Break, the Home Run Derby should be interesting Monday. I'll be tuning into that as well. But hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of the weeks. I probably will not be on here the rest of the week. Like I said, once we transition into training camp, I'll definitely be uploading more often, more frequently than I've been able to. Like I said, a lot of it's been I've been busy. I've been having things at home, family stuff, and things like that, of that nature. And there just hasn't really been anything that I've really ultimately wanted to really go out of my way and talk about, other than it'd be a 5-minute video. It's not even worth it. So, I don't know. That's why I always say, if you haven't followed me on Facebook, follow my Facebook page at HEINTZ SIGHT. Follow me on Twitter, Nate_Heinz. Instagram, Nathan_Heinz, to keep up with the things of the channel, because I do post on there when I upload. I do post on there when maybe something might be coming, so you guys might want to follow those. I would appreciate that. You can always interact. I always enjoy interacting. Doesn't matter if you're a Pittsburgh fan, doesn't matter who you're a fan of. Sports talk, sports opinion, sports debates, always a good time. But like I said, I will not be back this week or this weekend. We'll kind of see what transpires into next week and going into training camp. I would definitely like to upload a little bit more consistently, especially as we go into that, which I know I will. Because number one, there's more to talk about. And number two, there's going to be a lot of things coming out of training camp going into preseason with Steelers, with other teams. So I want to get on that. And number three, I hope I can, maybe create some more time at being able to pick and choose what days to be able to bring some content on the channel. So, but anyway, thank you guys for your support. We will see you sometime next week, I am sure. Enjoy the rest of your weeks, your weekend. Stay safe, and we will see what transpires next couple weeks leading into NFL training camp. All right, guys, we'll see you.